Many of you folks already know me, but for those of you who don't, my name is Joe Aguilera, and I'm an alcoholic. Not really. But well, Aguilera as in Christina Aguilera, the singer. So no relation that I'm aware of. And I was away from radio control model aircraft for about 20 years. Just got back into it within the last 6 months, joined the club, and I hung out with the guys for 3 months, 4 months. They had no idea I could fly. I was just out there picking up on all this new stuff, all this 2.4, electric, batteries, chargers. I'm like, wow, this is totally different than what I was raised with. We were raised, in fact, my first radio was a craft with tin can servos, metal servo cases that were linear. And I had a single channel escapement. Push button.
Did you ever have a craft brick?
No. No, but I used
receiver, two
used them,
servos
yes.
and one about that big.
That's right. They had the craft brick. I've used them, but I never had one.
Sounds like you got it just after my tube radios.
Yeah, almost. And I flew some escapement. That's what I learned on a single channel escapement. My first plane was a conglomeration of everybody's trash. And I flew that. I flew the heck out of that thing. So as the years went on, my dad and I teamed up, and just a short segment in my story here. I hated my dad. When I was about 16 years old, I was already in the radio control model aircraft, and I just dreaded the thought of him coming home or whatever. He came home from the swap meet one day, and he brought this ugly-looking airplane. It had holes in it. I don't know what it was called. This is ugly. He brought this airplane. He says, "Get this plane ready for me. I just bought it at the swap meet for $1." And I thought, that's unusual, because he used to scold me for the model airplane. So man, I didn't waste any time, man. That thing was ready the next couple of days. And from that day on, my whole life changed. He was my flying partner. And we used to go all over. We lived in Anaheim or Garden Grove. We used to come up here to Rapid Dry Lake Bed as a team, fly, and so on and so on. But anyways, so much for that. My reason for being here tonight, they asked me to talk about my creation. Now that I'm back into the hobby, I've already been through the regular radio control, low wing, high wing, pattern, scale, which I totally enjoy, but I wanted to do something different. So, and I used to belong to the Anaheim RC Club in Anaheim. We used to fly at the Angel Stadium parking lot years ago. And after coming back into the hobby, I find out that Aaron, my buddy Aaron here, his dad was my flying flying buddy. He was a member of our club way back when I was 21 years old. And that's been about 30 years or so, 30 some years. And just kind of a coincidence that I go, wow, I think I know your dad. So that was it was kind of overwhelming and nice to know. I used to demo for some of the different manufacturers. Zimmerman's, they put out a couple of different aircraft, fiberglass fuselage, gasoline powered, quadra powered. And I also flew some prototypes for Westcraft. Westcraft, I think, was bought out by a new company. But he originally had the B-52, not quarter scale, but it was like 8-foot wingspan, all fiberglass. He also had the PBY Catalina with 2 quadras in it. I had one of my own. Also, he built the, in kit form, he built the Hughes Racer quarter scale. It was about 8.5, 9-foot span. And I had the opportunity to fly all these planes for them. I also worked on the movie Iron Eagle, and unfortunately we didn't fly any airplanes in that, any radio control model aircraft. I worked for Jet Hangar Hobbies. So we went out to do the movie. Well, he crashed one of the 2 planes that we were supposed to fly, So he decided that we weren't going to fly the other one, we were going to go ahead and pop them up. We ended up blowing them up. What was left of the one that he broke and the one that we were supposed to fly. So a lot of the parts of the movie where you see the flames on the runway, we did all that. It was tires with gasoline and different things. But like I said, I had the opportunity to work with them on that. One of my first projects was intended to be a flying motorhome. I worked for Oberlin Motorhomes, and the guys that I worked for, they were into the radio control model aircraft. And I thought, well, it'd be cool to build a radio control motorhome, and at the shows where they display them, you know, every year they have a new one. It'd be cool to fly this thing around, you know, maybe even make some sales. Well, it was a flop. It never broke ground. Like, the most I could do was get the nose up. It was a pusher. Actually, it was a puller, but the motor was in the back. It was about foot by 2 foot, something like that. And it had a 60 engine in it. The most I could do was get the front end off, and I think it might have flown had I been able to get some rotation on it. But that was my first off-the-wall project. A lot of you have seen my projects, and that's why I passed out the cards, by the way, so that if you wanted to go on the YouTube site, you'd see all my projects flying. They do fly, except for the motorhome, but that was years ago. One of my projects here in the club was the pizza box, 4x4, 1-inch foam, with a 91. What kind of motor is that? Magna 91. Nice motor, by the way. Great engine. And I've been flying it there for quite a while. I put bombs on it, artificial bombs, bomb drops, and had a blast with it. A simple airplane would only cost me like $15. And any of the projects that I'm doing, by the way, if you want to know how I put it together or what I'm using to put them together, gladly let you know. So anyways, the pizza box, you'll see it on YouTube, has the bombs. Bringing it back, it's going to be the Ultra pizza box. Also, years ago as a kid, and I'm sure a lot of you have done this, throwing the tubes. Okay, well, for years, man, I was making tubes, flying them all over. Well, I made one that'll fly RC. And a lot of people call it the lampshade. Well, it does fly. Unfortunately, it doesn't take off by itself. I have to hand launch it. And Aaron, he helped me out in the beginning. And because I'm new with the power to weight ratio, in a sense, electric, well, we just ended up, after trying to figure out how to launch it, he just holds it right out and lets it go. Power to weight ratio is incredible. So it turned out it flew pretty good, and I'm ready to fly it again after breaking it. Electric, simple, and that's what it came from, was the tube, the hand-thrown tube.
Doesn't fly worth the shit.
Yeah, you gotta fly it under power until you land it, and then pull the power. Also, I built a Christmas tree for Christmas out of 1-inch foam. It stood about 6 foot tall, electric, and we test flew it in the raw white foam, and it flew great. It just took right off. It was great. Then I added all the Christmas tree trimmings. So it's basically make it look like a tree. I put little winglets, little tiny pieces on it to make it look like a Christmas tree, and then painted it green and put a star at the top for a tree topper. And my whole goal at this point was to set it vertical, put gifts around it, and just out of nowhere, VTO, vertical takeoff. So we did that, we accomplished that. It was a lot of fun, it was different. We did have a mishap with it. I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. The electric motors, be very careful with them. I've experienced a couple of different close calls, and one close call was with this Christmas tree. We had it sitting on a table. We overpowered the motor, big batteries. I hit the throttle. Barry was standing about 15 feet away or more. hit the power, the motor came right off of that plane, disconnected, so there was no power source to it at that point, and literally hit him in the arm and the brain, actually bruised him really well. Yeah, right. It was quite scary. So just letting you folks know, be careful with those electric motors. And Charlie there can vouch for that. He's got his fingers repaired, and looks like he's healing up, but it's taking a little while. So I wish you a lot of worry on that. So anyways, the Christmas tree.